Okay, all right. We are live.
Yay.
Okay, so we have some lovely ladies joining us today for the Midnight Society Book Club. Jordan may lose service, just a heads up for anybody. So if she does, don't worry. She's in camping mode and doesn't necessarily have internet.
Yeah, rural North Dakota is not exactly the most connected place in the country.
Imagine that.
Yeah, shocking.
Okay, so we read this month, we read The Odds by Jeff Strand, all of us, and I have no idea what anyone else thought of this yet, so I guess we will find out as we go. Maybe I should, hold on one moment, let me get this, yes, pull the comments up. Hello. Hey. All right, so how should we start here? Let's see. I'm going to start really quick with in the essence of this story, I decided to give us a few statistics for fun.
Ooh.
I have some odds that I just that might be fun that I thought I could tell you all about. The odds of being called to come on down on The Price is Right are 1 in 36. Pretty good odds. Makes me want to go on the show.
I would love that.
I've actually had The Price is Right come to my town actually before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I didn't go, but yeah, it was like a
biggest
cheesy thing.
I didn't know they traveled. That's
Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
I just all game shows are filmed in California somewhere, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was like the legit Price is Right or what, but like people were like crazy about it. I was like, this sounds awful, but have fun.
Oh, I would totally do it. Okay, the odds of being born with 11 fingers or toes. What would y'all guess that would be?
Like 1%? Like what?
I'd say less than that. Like 1 in, I don't know, 500,000.
The odds of being born with 11 fingers or toes is 1 in 500.
Oh.
Right?
That's
4 toes.
More common than I thought.
Who here has 11 fingers or toes? Like what?
I would tell you if I did.
Just imagine your subscriber count.
That's what I was just thinking too.
Like think about your subscriber count and you're like, I have this many subscribers. How many of my subscribers?
Multiple. Yeah, odds are multiple.
Oh my gosh. If anybody has 11 fingers or toes, do not be embarrassed. Please tell us. I need to know. This is fascinating.
Okay, the odds of winning an Oscar, 1 in 11,500, which actually doesn't seem that bad, but the odds of becoming a movie star are 1 in 1,190,000, according to William Morrow's The Book of Odds. So getting an Oscar.
Really?
Yeah.
If you think about it, people that are like behind the scenes of production and all of that get Oscars too. So
interesting.
But to actually be on screen as like a movie star. Mm-hmm. And I guess there's difference between like obviously being an extra and being in a movie than being the movie star.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So maybe I should try to be on The Price is Right to get recognized to become a movie star.
Exactly.
Maybe a jumping off point.
You missed your opportunity, Jesse. They've come and gone from your.
They actually came here twice.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Maybe it's like local to where you live.
I don't think it's the real thing, but I could be wrong.
Okay, the odds of being injured by a toilet. 1 in 10,000.
Oh, 10,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually seems like pretty good because thinking of like elderly or people who getting on and off.
I've been pinched by my toilet seat before. Seriously.
The odds of becoming a billionaire. Pretty much none. 0. There are currently 2,208 billionaires. So 2,208 and over 7 billion people. So the math it's
not mathing.
Crazy.
and that's it for my odd little facts. I just thought that would be fun.
That was
Yeah,
fun.
that was
Yeah,
super
very
fun.
interesting.
So let's go ahead and let y'all introduce yourself to everybody. If you want to start, if we want to go, let's see, this way. Jesse, you want to start, and then we'll go to Jordan and Gwen.
Yeah.
And then while they're doing that, y'all, if you read this book, then give us a dice in the comments. And if you didn't, then give us a red heart. I had banners, but I don't know how to get to it. Oh, there we go. Here we go. There we go. Okay, go ahead, Jesse. Let's hear about the last 5-star book you read. Kind of what you like to read in general, and maybe like what kind of videos you make on your channel.
Okay. So the last 5-star book that I read is probably my own book club discussion, which is the only one left. So spoiler, if anyone wants to check that out tomorrow, it was a 5-star for me. What was the other question? I'm sorry.
Just what you like to read in general and what
okay. So hello, my name is Jessie. My channel is Reading with Jess. I typically read thrillers and romance, but I'm trying to step out of those two and kind of maybe dive more into like horror, more like literary fiction, maybe just whatever comes about and things like that.
Oh, sorry, I muted myself. Awesome. Love that. All right, Jordan, what about you?
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan. My channel is Sorry Booked Solid. I actually think my last 5-star read is also the only one left. I'm trying to rack my brain really quickly for anything else, but that's what comes to mind. And I also read primarily mystery thrillers, though I would say my reading taste is pretty much any like realistic fiction. So I like contemporary books, contemporary romance. I like historical fiction, and I really love like sci-fi books that have some sort of believable, sort of realistic element. The only thing I really don't read is fantasy.
I think you and I have that in common, Jordan, with the like sci-fi. We have that definite crossover in our reading taste because I love. It's weird because when you think of sci-fi, most people would think of like some kind of like space odyssey, and that's not necessarily the type of sci-fi that I like. I just like playing with science and futuristic things like time travel and things like that. So it doesn't even necessarily have to be in outer space, but like I love it when it has something that could be like that could happen in the future or something like that.
Yeah, totally. And I get a lot of recs from you. Whenever you describe it as dystopian or light sci-fi and you like it, I'm like, yes, sign me up.
Reading it. Okay, go ahead, Gwen. Let's hear about you.
Hi, I'm Gwen. My channel is Gwendolyn Kinsinger, and like Jordan, I pretty much read a little bit of everything. I would say my 2 favorite genres are thrillers and romance, but honestly, I've been reading more general fiction than anything else this year. I also like sci-fi, like Jordan does, where it's kind of like just technology used in a new, different way, or kind of like Black Mirror vibes, like something like that. It doesn't have to be like a space. I don't like the space odyssey, that sort of thing. I also don't read fantasy, but I'll read a book with fantasy elements if they're not like too out there. I don't really like magical realism either. So I'll say that. And there's certain genres that I'll like, it needs to be believable for me to like it. And then sometimes it can be a little bit unbelievable and I still like it. My last 5-star read was a small little novella. It's called Last Night at the Lobster by Stuart Onan. And I picked this up based solely on the fact that it was short and I love short books. And it is about a manager of a Red Lobster that is closing because they're not meeting their numbers. So corporate has decided to close down this location. It's the middle of winter. There's a snowstorm. And even though they probably shouldn't open for their last night, they do because it's the last night and you just get to see that last night. So it's a little bit of a slice of life story. But if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry, you're obsessed with The Bear on Hulu like I am, or you just want to see what it's like working in a restaurant, like this is the perfect book recommendation because, like I said, I gave it 5 stars, but I think most people would be like, what the heck is this? But I loved it. It was so perfect. I've worked in multiple restaurants, so I could just like everything that was happening. I was like, yep, that would totally happen. So, and the cool thing about it is the people that work at the restaurant know it's the last night, but the general population, like customers and stuff, don't necessarily know it's the last night. So it was a fun read.
Interesting. I was in the restaurant industry for 14 years, so
You
I
would probably love it.
totally get that. Yeah. And I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's go ahead. First of all, for posterity's sake, I do want to say submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society. I call this story The Odds by Jeff Strand because that is what it's called. So let us open up the discussion about the book at this point. Oh, I need someone to pitch it. Okay. Let's pull out the hat. On these 4 pieces of paper, I have put each of your names, including myself. You have a 75% chance of not having to pitch this book. However, one of you, or me, one of us, will have to. All right, so let's see how it goes. Oh, I'm not going to look. Let's put it up here. All right, I got one. This person is going to pitch the book. Oh, it's me. Damn it. It's me. That's why I suck at playing.
You should have rigged it. We would have never known.
So let's talk about The Odds. This is a horror book, I guess. We need to discuss also what genre you would call this because it could be several different things. Anyway, it's about this man, Ethan, and he is at the casino and he gets himself into a little bit of trouble. He is in Las Vegas on a work trip, and he could have not gone on this work trip because he has a history of gambling issues, but he went anyway, and he's got a wife and 2 kids. Boys! Sorry, excuse the dogs. He's got a wife and 2 kids at home, and he has to figure out how to tell them that he lost a whole bunch of money. And so he's about to leave the casino when this guy approaches him and tells him that he has a 99% chance of winning all of his money back if he plays this game with him. And a 1% chance of getting his arm broken. Just in a really nasty way, but 1% chance. And so he, decides to take these odds, and the book continues from there. So essentially, this is, about taking risks. This is about the relationship with his family, how it affects him, because we come to find out that even though he thinks that the game is over after that, it's not. It's not over. And so he has to play the odds for the rest of this story. Mm-hmm. So that's the general gist. Let's talk about what we thought of this. There are actually quite a few people in the comments that did read this. I was really happy to find that this was on Kindle Unlimited. So I think that it was a little bit more easily accessible.
Yeah, that's how I read it too.
That's awesome. And so, why don't y'all start? Maybe we can do it in the same order and tell me what your ratings were. And then also give us your ratings in the comments, y'all. If you read it, we're still in spoiler free. We're going to do a little bit more spoiler free. I will let you all know when we get into spoilers if you haven't read it yet. But for right now, we're in spoiler free territory. What did you think of it, Jess? I'm excited because I have no idea.
I am giving it 4 out of 5 stars. I really, really enjoyed it. It is very fast paced. I feel like it is like mostly plot and not a lot of character driven. I do feel like there is some like character development over time, but like I was just mostly focusing on like what is happening. But yeah, it was crazy to see how like it went from 99% to like 90%. and like so forth on like this guy's odds. It kind of reminded me of Saw meets National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation with Chevy
Oh,
Chase.
I like that. Yeah.
So yeah, I really loved it. I felt like the pacing was really good. It was kind of hard to put it down. So I loved it.
Awesome. What did you think, Jordan?
All right. I gave it a somewhat anticlimactic 3 stars. I really enjoyed the beginning of it and the general premise. Like when you first pitched the book to us, I was like, yes, that is something I want to read. For me, I liked reading about the challenges that come throughout the book, but it got a little bit too ridiculous for me to really believe it. And I wish there would have been a little bit more, like it seemed kind of off the cuff in the structure of the game. And I wish it would have been a little bit more sophisticated and like had more of a plan, which is hard to talk about without spoilers. But I was hoping for a little bit something else for the ending.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Gwen, what about you?
I absolutely loved it and gave it 5 stars. I just couldn't get enough of it. I've read one other book by Jeff Strand. I read this one, 20th Anniversary Screening. This is like 100-page novella, and it's about, it's like a slasher. And I enjoyed this one. So I already knew that I liked Jeff Strand's writing. So I think that lent itself really well to go into a second book. And I read this the month before. So it was very soon after reading that I picked this up. For horror books, I've only started really delving into horror, reading more horror. I would say in the last 3 years. So I'm still fairly new to the genre and trying to find what I like and what I don't like. But what I have found is if I don't go into it expecting logical behavior for everything to make sense, then I do a little bit better with it. And like with this, obviously, like this is this ever going to happen in real life? Let's hope not, but so I just took it at face value. I really liked the pacing, like Jesse. I really liked just how things like ramped up throughout the story. And yeah, I was along for the ride, and I'm a plot over character person, but I do think like some characters were developed better than others, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that is awesome. It seems like with y'all as well as in the comments, we've got kind of a wide range of ratings, which is awesome. I love that because that just kind of gives us more to talk about. Literally, I see every rating.
From 1 to 5.
Yeah, except a 2. I don't see any 2 stars. Oh, hold on.
A 2. I have it at a 2.
I am agreeing with Jordan on this one. I'm giving this 3 stars, not because I didn't like it, but just because it wasn't necessarily my flavor. I do like more character work in mine. But as far as the plot goes, I did think it was fast paced, and I felt like, I was in it the whole time. I just didn't like necessarily like I wanted it to say more. But I did like it. There was some things. Well, let me get into the next question because I want to talk about a specific thing. Give it a 2. Halfway through it right now. Definitely enjoying seeing where things go. It's very engaging so far. It's about a 4 for me. It goes up or down based on the ending. Yeah. So let's still in non-spoilery. I've got a few questions. First of all, are you a betting woman? And be honest, if you were in Ethan's position, would you have taken that initial bet? Would you have done spun the wheel or taken the odds for a 99% chance of winning your money back? What do y'all think?
I am a betting woman. Would I have sacrificed my arm? Probably not. But if it was less grim, I probably would have taken those chances. I also I don't think this is spoilery at all, but like when they're talking about the game and like he's being pressured to like make a decision, I like how he's like, well, how do I know if this wheel isn't rigged? That's something I would say. Mm-hmm. So I like how he kind of took more control of the situation. So that would have totally been me. But yeah, I would take in bets like that. Just not my arm.
For me, no chance. I would not have even gotten close. And I thought it was funny when I was reading the very beginning of this book. I was like, no woman would do this. I know desperation has a factor in it, and it's probably not as simple as that. But when he was saying, like, as long as I don't wake up in a bathtub missing my kidneys, it should be fine, right? And I was like, well, women would be scared of that. Like, we would not take that chance because it's very likely we would be overpowered in, you know, this type of situation and end up in that. So I would definitely be in like, there's no way this is real. There's no way I'm putting myself in that kind of risk. So that was my take on the very, very beginning, getting into it.
What if you were Ethan, though? Like, if you were Ethan.
Okay, so because he had a wife and kids, I can't see myself doing it. But I think it's just like I've never been in that desperate of a situation before, so I don't even know what that kind of pressure would feel like.
Yeah.
Okay. The thing is it's let's break it down. It's a 99% chance to win $10,000. Okay. He already lost $5,000. So he'd basically be paying off what he lost and then making $5,000. There's absolutely no way I'd do it because now, am I a betting woman? I love going to the casino. I definitely bet, but I'm like that penny slot girl, you know? I'm not betting no big money. I love playing blackjack, but I am very smart and I know when to walk away. But I would not do it because they're not talking about like breaking his arm in a clean break where he can put a cast on and be fine. They're talking about smashing his entire arm. The cost of $10,000 would, number one, not even pay the medical bills. And number two, even if it did, let's say on the off chance you found a doctor to fix your arm for $10,000, the after effects of that, the nerve damage done, like you're going to have lifelong problems. And like with his kids and his wife, like just fess up, I lost the money and move on about your life. There's no way. I see where people might be like, yeah, maybe, but you never... Money is not that big of a deal. Bodily harm is huge. So you just have to, there's no way I do it. No way.
Yeah, it's a total question of perspective. Like that comment said, like, what does $10,000 mean to you? Because again, I'm not in that state of desperation. To me, $10,000 is not that much. Like it's not worth, you know, risking that much for my family, for my ability to move my body, all of that.
I think he did it because he was scared about his wife. Like
yeah.
I was like, no, he's like, my wife is gonna kill me. Okay, his wife isn't gonna literally kill him. You know what I'm saying?
Might leave him. He also was contemplating killing himself. So it's like, I'm gonna disagree with you guys. I think if I was Ethan,
Elizabeth, no.
It's a 99% chance. Those odds are so good. I would be the sucker in his position. I
guess I know we're going to talk about it later, but I guess it just depends on like what type of person comes to you with that offer. They're not going to be like, okay, here's the deal.
Yeah, not a good person.
99% chance to do this. And then you're free and clear. You can walk on out of here. Nope.
Well, that was how he framed it, though. And I think actually later on, he says, this isn't really spoilery. He says, I never lied to you. But I looked back and I think he did lie. And we can talk about that more in depth in a little bit. But also like, for him, I also would not get myself into that position at all. I like to gamble, but like when I gamble, I set aside money. I plan on losing that money. And if I lose it, I'm done. And if I don't, then great. If I come out positive, great. But I'm the kind of person that just is in it to play the games. And I like am paying to have fun playing those games. And if I, win money, great. That's a bonus. But I will not spend more than I can afford when I'm gambling. Let's see. It was pretty ridiculous. I wouldn't risk my arm. I don't, you know what? I get it.
There's always a catch, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But we're gonna have to save Elizabeth, y'all. She's gonna risk her arm for $10,000.
Now, I will say this.
But I'm honestly, if I was Ethan and I was in that position, I would have gone for it.
Yeah. Now, I think I would have just, after he won, I would have walked away from there. Everything else, I would not have.
Okay, let's move on to the next question. What genre would you categorize this novel as?
I would say thriller with slight horror elements in it. And I think that's why I really liked it, because I'm not as familiar with like horror. So I feel like this was like kind of like a good like entry level type of book. So I would say thriller with small bits of horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too. It's mostly realistic in my opinion, in the sense of like not much futuristic technology, not much supernatural, like nothing like that. So from that perspective, to me, that kind of means more thriller, though I can see the horror from the like gory aspect or from the more extreme content within it.
Yeah, to be honest, I was expecting more gore in this. I was expecting, I didn't think it was that gory at all, to be honest. Like, I thought it was very tame as far as like what I was expecting from this, especially with that lead in of possibly breaking your arm into a bunch of pieces. So I really expected this to be more gory. I wanted some body horror in here, and I did not get that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I was thinking popcorn horror. It's definitely a popcorn read. Like, it's very much plot driven. It's quick. It's fast paced. And it's something you could sit and read at the beach, or, you know, something that you don't have to think too hard about, but you can just follow along and have a good time. What about you, Gwen?
Yeah, basically everything that you guys have said, like a suspenseful thriller, definitely popcorn, with light horror elements.
Yeah. Let's see. I think in A Mind of a Gambler, 99% is a huge win. Yes. So that's the only way I get to set my expectation on the book. Also, doesn't the book feel like it's the 2000s? You know what? That's a good point. That it kind of does. Let's move on. Yeah. So, and touching on that, as far as the writing style goes, like I honestly, I didn't mind the writing style at all, but there were a couple of moments there where the authorial voice kind of was just a hair cringy to me. Not like anything problematic necessarily, but there were things that he mentioned that I was like, why? Like, okay, he said, if he'd won the money and been young and single, this would have been a very different night. But though he was a piece of garbage who would recklessly gamble away money, they most definitely couldn't afford, being unfaithful to his wife was not one of his flaws. No escorts for him.
Yeah. Yeah, very cringy in that way, but I kind of expected that after reading that other book. I was like, I just know it's going to have those lines that are just going to make me go like, why did he say that? And I also thought, like, I really have noticed in both of those books that it's kind of like he has like a comedic kind of underlining of all of his stories. But I feel like in this one, especially, all of them had like little funny quirks and stuff like that. And I was like, don't make everybody like that, because then it doesn't make a character unique. It feels like the author's coming through on every single character rather than it being like a characterization, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I did notice that, like, I listened to the audiobook as well. And the, I don't know if it was the same narrator or a different narrator, but they definitely differentiated Rick's voice and made Rick sound more of like a New York thug, and that really made his character stand out more. And so that was one of the cases. Oh, we lost Jordan.
Bye, Jordan.
She may come back or she may not. So we're just gonna carry on and see what happens. I know she's having issues with internet. But I forget what I was saying now.
Rick had like a New York.
Oh, yeah. So that made his character definitely stand out more than I think it would have if I had just read it physically.
Yeah.
Did everybody listen to it, or because I just read it physically?
Oh, really? Oh, that's right. Didn't your power go out and you read it the entire time?
I know. I was like, power's out. Guess I'm just reading.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I went back and forth, but I mostly listened to it.
Yeah. But like going back to like the audio narrator, like separating I think it was the same narrator, so he did a great job, but like making everyone feel separate. But like, yeah, like I guess like the head guy behind everything, I didn't like his voice at all as well. And it did seem kind of cheesy, but it kind of also reminded me of like a cheesy like game show type of host. I was like, oh, maybe this is like intentional because it's like a game and like odds. But
you know who the Claw Man reminded me of was
oh man, that's what I was thinking of.
from the X-Files. Is it? It's not Deep Throat. No, not Deep Throat. What do they call the smoking man? The guy with the cigarette. Like that's what I thought of that guy as.
I can see it.
I thought of him like the bad guy in Inspector Gadget, the cartoon with the cat and the.
That's awesome.
Like Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else. Fast paced. We kind of touched on that. Let's go ahead and get into spoilers. I think it's a good time to do that. I think we've touched on most things that that don't give it all away. Not that there's like some riveting twist in here. It kind of goes as you might expect. So if you do not want to be spoiled by this, then leave the live now. Come back after you've read it if you plan on reading it, or if you don't care, then just stay. And we're going to talk about some things that went down in here. A lot of people read it on Kindle. Oh, an audiobook. Okay, so did you all feel sympathetic towards Ethan?
I did and I didn't at different parts throughout the story. I think in the beginning I felt bad because like gambling is an addiction, just like any other addiction. I know that's sometimes hard for people to wrap their head around, but I don't think that he went on this work trip thinking that he was going to gamble, because he had that little note in his wallet and he was able to stay away from gambling up until that point. So I did feel bad that he like fell down the rabbit hole, you know, so to speak, with his gambling addiction. But also like, so then you gambled and you lost, and now you're going to gamble again with this game that these, you know, like I was just like, absolutely not. Don't keep gambling, you know, when you realize you made a mistake, like stop there. So it was just a little bit. And then as the book progressed, there were parts where I was just like, dude, like I feel bad for him, the situation that he kind of got himself into, because he did try to walk away eventually. You know, he tried to walk, he took a couple rounds, he tried to walk away, and then they followed him to his hometown and they basically forced him to continue playing, even though he was like, no, I'm done. But then he had kind of like his moral compass was telling him, okay, I need to get those needles out of that sandbox, you know?
Yeah.
Because let's see. Okay, so that's what I was talking about earlier too, was that Rick had told him, I never lied to you. I told you you could quit whenever you wanted. And he did. He told him he could quit. He didn't tell him that he was going to, like, that he could quit that round.
Right.
Continue. Right. Because as it turned out, you can skip around. He should have said he could skip.
Right.
You can skip around, but you have to play it till the end.
Yeah.
And
I felt bad for Ethan realizing that like he went into it based off all the information that was given to him. I felt more like sympathetic towards him when it like we got introduced to his family and his wife starting to be suspicious because he's like, you know, doing all these random things in the middle of the night. And
you could tell he wanted to tell her too, but they gave him those rules like you can't call 911, you can't tell your family, you can't take your family and run or whatever. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. All his questions were bad. It's like up around and find out. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of felt bad for him, but also at the same time, like, and that's the thing about gambling though, is that you get into a situation where you need to come back up, and something that can fix that is more gambling. And so it's easy to see how you could, you know, just keep going and get worse and worse and worse, but definitely bad choices. And then he lied to him by mission. Rick,
Yeah, but he also told, with the lying thing, he also told him that he would help him out at one point, and then the claw man got to him and was like, "Oh no, you're not helping him out." And he was
Right.
like, "Oh, okay, I'm not helping him out." So you obviously lied to him then.
Yeah.
Well, that one was unintentional. I think he did plan on it.
Yeah.
And so then he does end up eventually telling his wife, risking the lives of his family, his daughter and or his wife and his 2 sons, to let her know. And the way he does it is by making love. I'm like, what can I say on YouTube? By making love and pretending to nibble on her ear under the blanket and whispering into her ear. Would you all have risked telling your partner
Yes.
that was the case?
Yeah.
Yep.
I would have too.
I would have too.
Yeah, I tell Daniel everything, so there's no way I would not tell him.
Yeah, same. And
Would you have waited as long though to tell Daniel?
I don't
'Cause
know
I feel
when
like
I'm trying to
waited
put
long.
myself in Ethan's shoes. Like, obviously he took the risk to almost break his arm. So he obviously was a little fearful of like what she would said. And I think he thought at that point he could kind of walk away from it. And I
Yeah.
felt like he wanted to tell her, he should have told her, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being her though? And he's like, "Hey, you want to go get some hanky panky?" And then he's like, "By the way, don't say anything, but I lost $10,000 and they're stalking me, and then it might kill my family, and we're in big trouble." And I'd be like, "Oh, what?" There is no way I would not react to that and just
I know
go.
she held it
Yeah.
together or whatever.
Yeah.
And so then after that, turns out they did have footage in their bedroom, and they were keeping track of him through the audio on his phone. How do you guys feel about that? Was that realistic to you? And if there were these super rich men, because as it turns out, the people that are putting this together are these super rich, messed up dude bros who just want to see people suffer, essentially. And so they're using all of their millions of dollars to arrange this. So they have the resources, they have the funds, but they would have had to, it's one thing if he already has cameras set up all over his house and they hack into it. They would have had to have somebody come in there and sneak in and set up those cameras, right?
Right. And even on his phone and stuff like that. I'm like, when did they set this up? Was it after he agreed to it initially? And then when did that happen? Was someone not home? I didn't know. It was a little unbelievable, but I went with it. I was like, sure, yeah, they have cameras. Of course they do.
Yeah. I was thinking how did they get access to his phone or to his house and stuff like that? But also there's other things that they have control and that they're coming up and scheming. That was not really focusing on how did they get his phone. I was like, how are they setting these up, and how are all of these other individuals coming together? It's like a big web in a way.
Yeah. So as it turns out, it's not just Ethan who's in this, and the final battle royale are all of these people who have survived this far, who battle it out, and the ultimate prize was supposed to be $5 million or something. Did I just make that up?
Well, they said that there was a fantastic after the maze part. There were three different people competing. The first one was a fantastic prize, plus you get a pistol, plus you get a point. The second person gets a good prize and a point, and then the last person that does not lose gets dropped in the boiling oil.
But then after that, it would be 1 versus 1 in the final, and that person was supposed to get a bunch of millions of dollars, I think.
Yeah, that's just
it was a lot. That final showdown, though, I actually liked the maze scene.
I did too.
It was really entertaining.
I feel like it was kind of cartoonish in a way, and that's why I kind of docked a star from it. I was like, I think we're going a little bit over the top now, but
that's what it got. I wish the whole thing was like that. That maze scene gave me more of the vibes of Squid Games than the rest of the book.
Yeah.
Which I love Squid Games.
I do too.
Let's see. Sure, the moment he took the first gamble, they started tracking him.
But yeah, I'm sure they did too, because when he initially went into the building and they had a receptionist, I was like, okay, this isn't a one-off. They have a building set aside. They have this machine set up. There's a receptionist to greet you when you walk in the door. I was like, this is not the first time these people have done this. Or this isn't just for Ethan, you know? And then, yeah. Yep.
Yep.
See,
Disgusting.
I don't know if this is like later on in like the questions or anything like that, but the part that like got me like really thinking like the bigger picture is when he had to go save the elderly woman from the person sneaking into her house, but then you later find out that that person was also in the game too, and I was like, wait a damn minute, what is happening?
Yeah,
So.
at that moment I was like, okay, this is a little bigger than I thought. And then they killed that guy on the spot because he told, what's his name, Ethan, that he was part of the game.
Yeah. Which was like, was that even a rule? I didn't know that I couldn't tell anybody I was playing a game. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And then also, you get after that, what was it? The
briefcase with the cocaine.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And then the actors that are playing the drug dealers.
Yeah, which I thought was so awesome. I was like, thank goodness it wasn't real druggies, you know, like real drug lords or whatever. I would have died. I would have been crap in my pants.
And the whole scene where he goes into the crack house to get a clue on the scavenger hunt.
Oh my gosh.
And said, okay, we're going to do a knife fight to give you
I know. I was like, dude, just give him the clue.
And he's just in there like trying to figure it out. All of these people are so weird and trying to sell his back.
They're all high. And he's like
selling pills. And he's like, I just want the clue. I liked that part actually too. And so they end up having this knife fight, and he accidentally kills the dude before he gets the clue. So that has to like redo everything. And then Rick goes rogue. And I think Rick. Okay, let's go to the next question because Rick ends up dying. That's a spoiler. Rick ends up dying, but I think he died because of Ethan, because he only started going rogue because he wanted to help Ethan. I think he felt a certain like camaraderie with him, or he felt like sorry for him, and so he started trying to help him, and in doing so, got in trouble. Because what did he do?
What happened? The reason why Rick died is because at that maze part, Ethan lost, and so he was going to be the one having to be put in the oil, and they were going to make Rick be the one to lower him into the oil. But I think it's like his handler, I think he became a little attached because obviously they set this all up beforehand. They said, this is the game that we're going to play. Everybody pick your player, ride or die, you're with this person. You have to make him go through with all this or not. And, you know, so it was, I think he became attached to him, especially because like he had a wife. I mean, if you're like eavesdropping on this guy and you're seeing him go through all of these horrible things, even if you start to think something like, oh, this would be such a fun prank, and then you start going through with it, I think you start feeling like, oh crap, we really went too far with this. And I think you started feeling bad. And then he was like, okay, no one said I was going to have to lower him into the oil. I'm out. And then that's when Clawman was like, oh no, you're lowering him. And then he shot him in the knee. He tried to crawl away, and then he shot him. Yeah.
But also at that point, Rick's survival was based on Ethan's, because Clawman told him, if Ethan loses, you lose, because he had, you know, gone rogue. And I'm trying to remember, because there were the two other like lackeys that worked for him, Charlie something.
Yeah.
And he did something and they found out. And so then Rick killed them both.
Yeah. That was intense.
What was it that he had done that he didn't want the Clawman to find out about, that they were threatening?
I don't remember that. Like what exactly was? Let me see if I remember.
Oh man.
This was right after Rick asked the Clawman, like, hey, can we like, was it like take a point away? And they're like, well, let me consult with the others. And then they're like, yeah, moving forward, we'll do that, but not this time. And I think that's when it started to like snowball. Into that.
It was Gavin and Butch for the names of the lackeys.
Oh.
That's it. Sad about Rick. They wanted to do the right thing in the end. Yeah.
Mhm.
And hello. Those flaws in their game, how powerful and wealthy people at times are stupid. Yeah, that makes sense. Something about him giving him help. Oh, was it because he let him off on the drug dealer thing because he basically beat the system and he told them he knew they were actors and nobody needs to get hurt and just leave. And so he had an upper hand on that one. I think it was him giving him information to help him or something like that.
Yeah.
And he didn't want the Clawman to find out, but turned out that they had cameras in their work vehicles on their cell phones, so they knew Clawman knew everything before Rick even knew. And yeah, I felt bad for Rick too because they had told him that his daughter was gonna be killed and his entire family, and then he got killed. Who knows? I guess his family would have been fine after how they worked it out at the end. Maybe, hopefully, they didn't really touch on that. But yeah, I definitely felt bad for Rick. I was not expecting him to die. And when he died, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the empty threat. That's what it was. Yep. Thanks, Ashley. Yeah, so he had told them if he had told Ethan if he drove away with his family that he had a button that he was going to blow up their car. And
that's right.
That's what it was. I don't know what that means. Maroko Chodo.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. He promised Ethan, his car's going to, yes, blowing up the car. Exactly. Yeah, good call, y'all. And then what about the epilogue?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I think that's what like solidified. I was like, yeah, this is a 5 stars. Like you have to do that. Like,
yeah, I actually messaged Gwen because she finished it before me, and I was like, I think this is what, like, how it ended, because at the very end they're like, okay, we're going to pick a shape and to decide your fate and stuff like that, and it sounded like he picked the wrong one, but then there was an epilogue, and I was like, so is Ethan the new Rick? And she was like,
I loved it. Like, the part that I loved the most, where it was right before the epilogue, he goes, fucking funny.
Yeah.
I
would have thought he would have gotten like shot, killed, whatever the situation.
That was the plan. Like if he chose wrong, he was he said he picked wrong, and he goes best 2 out of 3, and they liked that so much that
they wanted to keep playing the game.
Yeah,
so they manipulated him. Honestly, though, in my opinion, I could have done without the epilogue. I would have just I think if it had ended
with that scene before,
he unfolded the paper, he got it wrong, even fucking Bunny.
Yeah,
I think that would have been more like striking of it.
Yeah, it would have, but I loved it that he was involved now and he was a part of it. How he called his wife and he's like, maybe we'll have that shit anyway. I loved it.
Well, that's why I messaged Gwen. I was like, if this is not like, if he's not like the new Rick, then I don't like this at all, because I feel like it could have just ended with him like, oh, best 2 out of 3. But because he did become the new Rick, I was like, okay, I like that. So yeah, mixed feelings on that.
But I am wondering, Ashley asked his wife's gonna leave him though, right? Very good question. Because I'm like, where does this go from here? I mean, I just love explosive, crazy endings like that. So
yeah, it's like, I didn't get the big prize, but
I got a job.
As we expected the same cycle. He was, I didn't love the epilogue. I thought I wanted it to be darker, I guess. I like a dark ending. I wanted it to be like having you assume that he was killed and then it just ends. But
also it kind of makes it like another vicious cycle, kind of like gambling in a way. Like it's never going to end in a way.
That could open it up for a sequel even.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think about. But yeah, that could do that. Okay, let's see here. Is there anything else that y'all wanted to touch on that we didn't talk about yet?
I think one of the questions is like other things that it reminded us of.
Oh, yes.
And I know that we talked about Squid Games, or someone else mentioned Squid Games. That was like literally the first thing that popped in my head. But then also Saw, like the Saw movie franchise. And also, I know this seems a little far-fetched, but the Hunger Games a little bit.
Okay.
So with especially the second movie. But yeah, just like the twisted nature of like the games that they would be playing with them. So yeah, those are my three: Squid Game, the Saw franchise, and Hunger Games.
Yeah. I said earlier Saw, which I wish it was more like Saw. Like, I think that's why I didn't like the ending as much with the maze, because it's like, okay, this seems like very far-fetched. Like, I feel like this could have been like merged a little bit more. But I said Saw and like Chevy Chase in National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation.
I love that.
Go ahead.
Somebody else mentioned earlier the movie with Michael Douglas, The Game. Have you also seen it? It's like a 90s thriller. That movie's really good.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, it's really good. Also, I have not read this book, but just based on what I know of the odds, it reminded me of the synopsis of Adrian McKinty's The Chain.
Oh, yeah.
So does it, Jesse? Because I know Jesse's read that one.
I mean, it's yes, because like it is like a chain of events. Like, you have to do this, otherwise there's going to be major consequences. But like, it's the same thing over and over. Whereas this one, it's like, oh yeah, we're going to break your arm. Oh yeah, there's children playing in a sandbox. Oh yeah, there's a woman that's buried alive. You better go save her.
Yeah.
So I would say if you like this one, or if you like the whole, like, I guess, premise of it, you'll like The Chain. I really like that one.
I was hoping that it was going to be more like Saw.
Yeah, I was hoping for it to be a little bit darker, a little bit like a little bit more body horror would have been cool. Because you're presented with these situations and you're like, oh, what if he like doesn't do it or something like that. But if he like had his arm smashed or something, that would have been epic.
I think I told Gwen this when we were poloing each other, but I was like, I kind of wish the wife was kind of in on it too.
That would have been so fun.
Yeah, like at the very end, be like, oh yeah.
Oh, well, that's a plot twist I'd be down for. So what do we think? Do we collectively approve this story for the Midnight Society?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think it was super fun.
I would definitely recommend it for someone who just wants a quick, fast, paced read that is, high stakes. Yeah, I would say it's definitely high stakes.
Have you read anything else by this author, Elizabeth? I know Gwen has. Do you plan on reading any more by him?
I might if I found one that sounded like a particularly interesting premise. But as far as like his writing style and his authorial voice, like it's not something that I'm like, ooh, I must read more from.
Right.
But if I found one that was like sounded really interesting, I might pick it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, what is there anything that y'all want to promote coming up? What do you have going on with your channels? Any videos that you have coming out? Also, everyone, I have all three, including Jordan's information, linked down below for their Instagrams and their YouTube channels. So go follow them and support them and do all the things. What do you guys have coming up on your channels, or something that you're working on that you're excited about?
Well, tomorrow night, Gwen is actually my co-host for my Sleep When I'm Dead book club, and we're going to be discussing the Riley Sager book, The Only One Left, which obviously I've spoiled. I gave it 5 stars, so spoilers. But that's coming up tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then I will probably let Gwen talk about the other thing that's coming up pretty soon.
Okay.
So I have a couple of things going on my channel right now. Right now I have like 3 different series that I'm working on my channel. I'm reading short books. So I have like maybe 4 episodes of that coming out where I'm reading like 4 short books in each vlog. I also have like a dark academia series coming out where I read some dark academia books. I also have a series coming out where I watch like my viewers Korean show recommendations and try Korean snacks. But the biggest thing is that at the end of August, I'm hosting a week-long readathon called the Back to School Readathon.
Oh.
So it's very exciting. It's back to school themed. There's lots of fun graphics and reading prompts and photo prompts and all of that. So
Yeah.
Where would one find the information for that at?
On my channel, I did a whole announcement. You can also follow me on Instagram at Lavender Mud, and I have like one of those little bubbles at the top. It's like BTS, like back to school, and then it has all the information there. So
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
I also forgot to mention, sorry, but my next month's book club pick for Sleep When I'm Dead is the Samantha Downing book, A Twisted Love Story. And Samantha Downing's actually going to be on the live show.
Shut up.
Cool.
yeah.
No. Yeah.
That is awesome.
I know a lot of people picked that book for their book club, and I'm like, but do they have the author coming on your live show?
What if you don't like it though?
Well, it's still they're gonna. Well,
I like
well, they still had like Lucinda Berry on her channel, and they talked to her before they really get into the book discussion.
Yeah.
So that way, it's just kind of like general thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
That
It's more
is
of an
so
interview
awesome.
portion. Yeah. I was shocked that she said yes. I was like, is this real? Like, pinching myself. So
Oh, cool. That is awesome. So your book club live show tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. So that would be my time. And then they're also like in a few minutes, I think Sav's book club is going live. And then at
the
1
drowning
p.m.
woman.
today in an hour is going to be Gabby's. I could not, and she's also read the Riley Sager.
Mhm.
Then I couldn't figure out when the Literally Dead live show is, but she also read the Riley Sager.
yeah.
So there's a lot going on. If you all don't have anything going on right now, just switch on over to Sam's channel. What did she read this month?
The Drowning Woman by Robin Harding, which I just got my copy in the mail because I was getting it from Aardvark Book Club. So I didn't get the book in time to read it. So I'm sad, but
I haven't read that one, but maybe I'll pop in for the non-spoilers.
yeah.
And then for the Midnight Society next month, we are reading Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle. This, I don't have the book yet, but it is a horror novel about a conversion camp in like Montana where they send children. Oh, they're doing it together. Oh,
Yeah, Gabby and Kayla.
Oh, okay. They send people like gay people, they're queer people to try to, it's like a religious thing where they try to convert them into being straight.
Yeah. That's going to be a wild discussion.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride. So if y'all are interested, it is on Scribd. I just got it on Scribd, the audio. So if y'all have Scribd, check that out. And yeah, that's what's coming up for the Midnight Society. And I think that is everything I wanted to mention. It's 11:58, so I feel like this is the perfect time to say goodbye.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you all so much for joining me, and thank you to Jordan for doing her best to make it with her limited internet connection. I appreciate that. And we'll be back next month. And having said that, I declare this meeting of the Midnight Society closed. Goodbye and have a wonderful day.